Welcome to the Explainer. So today we're going to decode the instruction manual for two really specific kinds of brains. First, there's the brain that has way too many interests, and then there's the one that feels absolutely everything, just way too deeply. If you've ever, even for a second, felt like your brain is a little bit broken, this one's for you. I'm here to show you that it's not.
So here's our game plan. We're going to start by walking through that super familiar feeling of quitting things way too soon. Then we're going to flip that whole idea on its head. After that, we'll get into building an internal toolkit for you, and then an external shield. And finally, we're going to lock in your new and way more accurate identity.
All right, let's just dive right into section 1, which I have a feeling is going to sound pretty familiar to a lot of you. It's that cycle, you know? Starting something with so much energy, and then, poof, it's gone.
This quote. It just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? It perfectly captures that feeling of being totally paralyzed. Not because you're lazy, but because you have so many genuine passions, so many roads you could take, that you just end up standing still.
So, does your house kind of look like a graveyard for hobbies? You know, the guitar in the corner collecting dust, the half-finished painting, the stack of language books you swore you'd use. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are in very good company. It's this classic cycle. You get this intense, burning passion for something, and then, right when it starts getting real, the flame just flickers out, and you're on to the next thing.
So why does that happen? Well, there's actually some cool science behind it. Your brain is a novelty junkie. It absolutely loves the speed of learning something new. That steep learning curve you're on at the beginning, it's flooding your brain with dopamine. It's a rush. But here's the trap. We call it the novice high. The second that learning curve starts to flatten out, the dopamine faucet shuts off. And suddenly, you feel bored and you get that itch to quit.
Okay, so let's move on. What if I told you that these tendencies, this quitting, this jumping around, what if they aren't character flaws at all? What if they're actually features of a different and maybe even more powerful operating system?
You know, society loves to stick a label on you, a dabbler, a jack of all trades, master of none. But that's not the whole story. The reality is that your endless curiosity is the raw ingredient for becoming a polymath. It gives you this incredible ability to see patterns in one field and apply them to a totally different one, making connections that a specialist would never, ever see.
And hey, if anyone has ever told you that you're too sensitive, let's just reframe that for good. Right now, it is not a weakness, not even close. It's actually the defining feature of what we call a supersensor. It means you have a high-performance radar system, and believe me, the world needs that.
And this isn't just you being dramatic, okay? This is actual biology. Think of it like this. Your brain records the world in 8K while most people are on standard definition. You have fewer filters, so you're taking everything in. Your mirror neurons are firing like crazy, so you don't just see that someone is sad, you feel it in your own body. Life feels more intense because for your brain, it literally is.
Okay, so you get the hardware now. You understand the specs. So the big question is, how do you actually drive this thing? How do you train this incredible, unique mind from the inside out?
Well, neuroscience has some cool news. Willpower isn't just some vague, magical trait you either have or you don't. It's physical. It actually lives in a part of your brain called the AMCC, and you can think of it just like a muscle. Every single time you push through something you don't feel like doing, whether it's boredom, frustration, whatever, that muscle gets a little bit stronger. So how do you take this brain muscle to the gym? You don't have to force yourself to grind for hours on end. It's simpler than that. All you have to do is one more rep. The next time you hit that wall, that moment you want to quit, just push for 15% more. Read one more page. Do one more practice problem. That tiny little extra push, that's the rep that builds tenacity over time. Now, for all you potential polymaths, listen up. The key is to stop trying to build all your different interests at the same time. That just leaves you with a really shallow foundation everywhere. Instead, you need to focus on what's called serial mastery. Pick one thing, one pillar, and really commit to it for a season, maybe 6 months, maybe a year and a half. And when you feel you've got the core of it down, you don't quit, you strategically graduate to the next pillar. All right, so we've talked about the internal work, but what about the outside world? Because let's be real, it's not always a friendly place for a high-performance brain like yours. So how do we protect it?
The angry cry. We've all been there, right? You're so frustrated or mad that you start crying. And it just feels like the ultimate sign of weakness, like a total system failure. But the opposite is true.
You're not crying because you're weak. You're crying because you care so much. Your system is running at 150% capacity, and those tears are literally a biological cooling mechanism. It's like your body is just trying to cool down the engine. Now, when you're dealing with really difficult or toxic people, supersensors often fall into a trap. You think you're in a conflict where both people are trying to find a solution, but often it's what's called an asymmetrical conflict. You're playing a game of connection and understanding. They are playing a game of control and dominance. And the second you realize you're playing two different games, your whole strategy has to change.
Your natural instinct, your good heart, wants to clarify, to make them understand your point of view. But with a high-conflict person, you have to fight that urge. You have to avoid the JAD trap at all costs. That means you do not justify, you do not argue, you do not defend, and you do not explain. Because every reason you give them isn't information for them to understand you, it's just more ammunition for them to use against you.
So what do you do instead? You use a shield. And a really powerful one is a visualization called the glass wall. I want you to literally picture a thick pane of glass between you and the other person. You can see them, you can hear them, but all their negative energy, their accusations, it just hits the glass and slides harmlessly down to the floor. It protects you, and it also stops you from trying to jump in and save them.
Okay, let's bring it all together. It's time to throw out those old, busted labels that have been holding you back and really step into this new identity, one that's actually backed by science.
So it's time to stop blaming yourself for having a brain that's wired differently. You're not flaky. You're a potential polymath. You're not weak. You're a super sensor. The world desperately needs people who can connect different ideas and who can feel things deeply enough to notice what everyone else is missing. You're not a mistake. You're essential.
And this is maybe the most important takeaway of all. Stop trying to change your fundamental biology. Stop trying to toughen up. You're not a dandelion that can thrive in the cracks of a sidewalk. You're an orchid. And an orchid, given the right environment, the greenhouse, blooms with a complexity and a beauty that a dandelion could never even dream of. Your job isn't to change who you are. It's to build your greenhouse.
So, no, your brain isn't broken. It never was. It was just misunderstood, waiting for the right user's guide. And now that you have it, there's really only one question left. What are you going to build with it? The possibilities, they're absolutely endless. Thanks for watching.